Hi guys, my name is Trinity, and if you're here to talk about books. Today we are doing my top 10 sci-fi series or books of all time, but I have read quite a bit of sci-fi, even if not a lot of sci-fi series. So coming in at number 10, we have The Daughter of Dr. Moreau. Now, this is a very recent read for me, and so putting it on the list, I'm like, is this because of the fact that I read it so recently and it's sticking in my brain? But no, I do think that this book is actually going to stand the test of time. I do think that because of the story already being quite beloved, the Island of Dr. Moreau, we are getting the daughter's POV in this. I've always liked that story to begin with, and then just having this added to my enjoyment of it, I do think it's probably one of my favorite books of the year. That is going to be another video that is coming, but I'm very, very excited to see what else Silvia Moreno Garcia puts out, because half of it I've loved and then half of it has just tanked for me. But this one hit at a 5-star and I was so excited about that. So excited about it. It is dark. There are some sexy scenes. I was not prepared for how sexy some of these scenes were. And I think I even put a meme of why is it spicy in the Discord when I was talking about it. But you know, it was really good. It was really good, and I thoroughly enjoyed it. Coming in at number 9, some of you guys might be surprised to see this low on the list, but if you've been around my channel for any amount of time, you will know that I do not like the first book of this series, but that would be Red Rising by Pierce Brown. Now, this is a series that I do think is flawed. I do think is flawed, and I recognize its flaws, but I enjoyed the second book and the third book so much that I am just like, I love it. I love it. I get why people like it so much. And the ending of the third book, I really, really liked. I do have Iron Gold. I do plan to read it sometime in the near future. I just keep forgetting to actually do that. But I do like Red Rising. It is very popular, so I don't feel like I need to give you any explanation of what it's about. But I will say I like some of the characters. Our main character is a little bit of an idiot and makes bad choices, but aside from that, I really, really enjoy it. And at number 8, we have the only classic to grace this list, and that would be Brave New World by Aldous Huxley. This remains one of my favorite books of all time. I actually just got to watch the TV series on Peacock, and I loved the TV series. I loved the adaptation. I thought it was really good. Now, there were some changes made, obviously, for the sake of TV, but I liked it. I liked it a lot. And this is a book that I've read multiple times over the years. It is one that has given me a very defining question in my life, something that defines my personality and the way I think is, why do people believe what they believe? And this cemented that question in my head at like 14, and I've lived my life wondering this. It stayed with me from when I read it the first time until now, and I still have those questions. So yeah, it has to be there, right? Because it's a defining part of my personality, of the way I think. At number 7 is a young adult series that I will not take off of this list because it is Scythe. And I do believe the Scythe trilogy is one of the best sci-fi series I've read. And I've said this before. I think I said this whenever I did my favorite sci-fi last year, that there's a lot of people who don't like the third book. They don't like the way the series ends. I don't mind it. I don't mind it. It is actually a series that I will probably reread this year because it has been a while since I have read them. But that might change my opinion on the series. You know, it might get it knocked off this list and it might elevate it. I don't know. I don't know. It's been a while since I've read it. So I really think that this setup with the Reapers having to kill people because of overpopulation and no one dying because of medical advances, I think it's a really cool concept. And I just really like delving into the story. At number 6, we have The First Sister by Lyndon A. Lewis. Now, this is a little odd to be on this list, I think. I go back and forth. It's like a space opera, but not. There's not a whole lot of science fiction about this series. It's set in space, but the story really revolves around found family and training and a whole lot of stuff that doesn't really scream sci-fi to me. But I adore this for the representation. Lyndon A. Lewis is an excellent writer. I'm very excited to actually read the third book in this series. I don't think it's come out yet. If it has, I haven't got my hands on it yet, but I really enjoy this series. I really think that more people need to pick it up, but don't go into it expecting this sci-fi space opera, because even though that is what it technically is, it is really more about the found family and the characters involved and the struggles that they go through and overcoming all of these issues surrounding the way this culture has been built up. And I find it fantastic. Representation, non-binary representation. We have different sexualities all through this series, and I think it's really cool. I think it's really cool. And then we have the Song of Chimera by T.A. Bruno. I'm actually currently reading the third book in this series, but In the Orbit of Sirens is so dang good. So dang good. I was sad that it didn't like go further in the Battle of the Books, but it did come up against the Martyr and it did come up against Madship. And so when the Battle of the Books kind of went down, I had to put Madship ahead of In the Orbit of Sirens, but I absolutely loved that book. The second book, I enjoyed it. I really thought it was great, and I'm enjoying the third book too. Now, the second book has a little bit of editing issues that it got repetitive in a couple of places, and that is a personal thing that I can't stand. So it's very nitpicky for me to say anything bad about the second book because it's a personal pet peeve of mine. Had nothing to do with the writing, had nothing to do with the story or the pacing. It's just a personal pet peeve of mine. So that's all I can say about that. But other than that, I love exploring this world. I love the creatures that T.A. Bruno has given us as the aliens. I love the way that he's manipulated the way human race has evolved. And it's just so good. It's so good. And the characters are wonderful. I do love that we have a generational story, so that's really cool. But yeah, I absolutely love this series, and I think everybody should pick it up. Next would be The Protectorate by Megan E. O'Keefe. Now, if you guys have watched my previous video, you will know this has been knocked down a couple of spots. But this one is one that I can say, if you like twists and turns in your stories, this is definitely the book that you need to pick up, the series you need to pick up. The Protectorate by Megan E. O'Keefe winds its way through this story in a way that you can't see all of the twists coming. There's absolutely no way you can see all of these twists coming. And I found that highly, highly entertaining. I absolutely loved it. Loved it. And I think that the main character, Sanda, she is going to be one of my favorites for years to come because she's so snarky and she's tough, but she's also very feminine, and I enjoy that about her. There is always going to be a spot in my heart for women who act like women, like not like other girls. That trope is over and done with, and we're going to kill it with these women who are tough, but still act like women. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. Next, we have Escaping Exodus by Nikki Drayden. I loved this book. It's so weird. It is so weird. We have a group of people who have been living inside a space beast, and their space beast is dying. And they have to figure out what they're going to do to survive once this space beast dies. And the way that they live is gross and fascinating. There's so many things that happen that you're like, ugh, but cool, you know, like, and I love the main character of this story. She's so compelling, and the way she struggles to deal with this issue is really great, but watching her overcome was also really great, and I absolutely loved it. Next, we have The Graven by Essa Hansen. I adore these books so much, and I do have to talk about this because it's very apparent if you followed me on Goodreads or if you followed along with what's been going on with me this year, that I've been struggling to get through Azura Ghost. So let me explain something outside of reading that has happened. I have been in a brain fog that I can't overcome. I don't know what's going on. I've been like kind of sick, but this has been all year. I have had something that has stopped me from being able to process a lot of things. And No Fat Gloss has an audiobook that I can follow along with. The Azura Ghost did not get one. And so I'm struggling with the concepts. Like, I want to figure out these concepts. I want to think about them in detail. And that has made my reading of Azura Ghost very, very slow. And then I always get interrupted when I'm reading it. Always. It never fails. If I pick that book up, something is going to happen where I get interrupted and I won't be able to read. It has happened every single time I've picked up this book. But I'm loving it. Absolutely loving it. I cannot wait for the third book. It's coming soon. I know that it has been submitted and it's ready for publication. I'm so excited. But this does deal with a lot of high thinking concepts. It is hard sci-fi and I really, really enjoy it. And Essa Hansen's writing is so good. Just the way she puts sentences together, I absolutely love it. I'm sorry, my allergies are starting to get on top of me, so if I get really nasally, I apologize. But Essa's writing is just brilliant, and I love it. And I love the characters, and I love C. And just the relationships between characters in this, they're so good, so well thought out. There's good representation in the Graven series, and I love the way the Graven powers work. I really love the conflict that we are getting in Azura Ghost, and I'm really excited to see where all of that goes. But yes, I absolutely love the Graven. And number one on my list is going to be no surprise to anyone who ever listens to me, because I absolutely cannot stop talking about Project Hail Mary. And Project Hail Mary, I definitely think that you should try in audio form. There is a reason for that that's spoilery that I refuse to talk about because I don't want to spoil what happens. I don't want to spoil why it's so cool to listen to this audiobook, but there is a reason that a lot of people say if you're going to read Project Hail Mary, it should be via audio, or at least immersive read it, because there is a great thing that happens in Project Hail Mary. But I love this for two specific reasons, and that is a main character that you can't know about. And I really, really love a great bromance. There is nothing better than a great bromance. And this one has the best bromance in fiction, bar none. I love it. I absolutely love it. It is the entire reason to read this book. And if you don't like bromances, then don't read the book. But I think it is absolutely fantastic. All right, that is it for me today. Like, subscribe, do all the fun things. Don't forget I have a Patreon if you'd like to support my channel. See you guys later.